Jerry Abrahams. Jerry, I know you were
Present, sorry.
Oh, there you are.
I'm here. I'm
Great.
just having
No problem.
technical
Thank
problems. I'm here.
you. It's all good. Alexander Dom.
Present.
Phil DeFranco. Tim Hodges. Catherine McKinnon.
Here.
Commissioner Perez. Franklin Perry. Sarah Sanders.
Here.
We do have a quorum present.
Very good. So we'll move to our first item, which is the resolution authorizing the execution delivery of a credit facility with FHLB. I do have some questions, but I'm hoping you may answer them in your presentation. So over to Hazim.
Sure, thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Good morning. Before you is a resolution to permit CHFA to borrow directly from the Federal Home Loan Bank of Boston, or FHLB, to fund program loans. CHFA currently uses its balance sheet, such as from the IDA, to fund program loans for multifamily 9% low-income housing tax credit. Due to an increase in demand for its product from the development community, the need to fund more taxable permanent-only loans, and the rising rate environment, CHFA began researching last year for another viable financing vehicle. FHLB is a government-sponsored enterprise, or GSE, and was created to provide liquidity to certain financial institutions to support housing finance and community investment. Being a GSE, it can offer very competitive and generally below market lending rate. Since CHFA is a non-bank member of FHLB, it is permitted to borrow from FHLB. According to CHFA's research, it is currently more advantageous to pursue a direct borrowing with FHLB than issuing a new taxable bond. The request, if approved, will allow CHFA to borrow up to $100 million in aggregate and for a period of 3 years. I'll be happy to answer any questions the committee may have.
Okay, a couple of questions. Don't you normally fund these with tax exempt bonds, or are these more loans that you wouldn't normally do that with?
We're not permitted to use tax exempt, so that's why there's the emphasis on the 9%, because they have already received federal subsidy through the 9% tax credits.
Okay, and this is the first borrowing under the new indenture. Is that correct? It doesn't require SCARF. Is that correct? Is this being
No, this is totally separate. So last October, when we present to the board to establish a new resolution that was to supplement the general resolution in terms of trying to access a different way of collateralizing or securing the collateral, I should say. So we created that indenture to help access that market. In this situation, when it comes to the 9%, the nature of the loan, the permanent loan is very small, is generally between 2 to 5 million. And then there is this concept about locking the rate for a forward delivery. So using Home Loan Bank, it allows you to lock in the rate without, paying additional costs related to cost of issuance. And also you don't have that economies of scale. So you're able to get that lending at a better, or borrowing at a more competitive manner.
And you will be borrowing from them for 20 years. It's not just like a warehouse or temporary.
Correct. Correct. So for this particular structure, what we have to do is we have to bifurcate it because Home Loan Bank does have a term limit or duration limit of 20 years. But for our loan, when we offer to the public, is 35 years.
Right.
So there will be some blending with ITA to make it work. So this is a way for us, when we step back in terms of how we talk about leveraging and trying to get the deal done. This is one way we're looking into it. Or in terms of accomplishing it, I should say.
And are we the first HFA to utilize this program this way, or?
According to Home Loan Bank Boston, because as you know, there's 11 districts throughout the country. So depending to which state you're on, you're associated to that district. So for us, we're associated to the Boston district. According to the bank, they did try with 1 or 2 HFAs in this district, including Massachusetts, Vermont. They were not able to do it on a continuous basis for one reason or another. But I told them, I said that, this structure, if it works for CHFA, I believe it may actually work for other HFAs too.
So we are first?
We're leading the charge.
Yeah. And it's no scarf, and
No,
it is. And it is or isn't under a master resolution, I guess.
it's not. It's not.
Okay, so it's an off the resolution.
Correct.
Borrowing.
correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
those were my questions. I'd like to open up for anyone else that might have questions.
Hazim, it's Jerry. So I guess if we're gonna, this is long dated borrowing against multifamily taxable loans that we'll be making, where the developers are receiving 9% credits. So what are the call provisions on this?
The call provision will be based on our prepayment policy, which currently is, when the project, arrive at the year 15 after amortization, they can reach out to CHFA to see for any type of refinancing or releveraging. But when they get to year 20, they are eligible to prepay, subject to satisfying our, preservation policy, and by just paying a 1 point.
Yeah, it's basically our sort of board approved call option.
Correct. Correct.
All right, and
Yes.
and then the underlying, so if we were basically to, and then if we elected to authorize a refinancing on a project loan, then we could then refund, and let's say they were going to do a refinancing and they were going to, whatever, issue new credits, or they were going to get a Citibank loan or something, they're going to finance away from us. We'll be able to then call this, the under the financing for that loan if it's under this program.
Yes.
Okay.
There'll be some true up depending to how we structure the loan with FHLB. But again, it goes back to how we are going to bifurcate using the home loan proceeds along with our proceeds. So the way that we are going to structure this would allow and protect us against, unanticipated call or prepayments.
Okay. And then, so also on the ALM, this is long dated borrowing. We're going to combine this with our more sort of flexible ITA balance sheet resources, right?
Correct.
And so I guess the question becomes, how do you figure out, like, just can give me an idea of what, like, how much you expect to borrow for fiscal year, for our current calendar year under this program. And, we're going to originate all our 9% this year, right? So I guess we don't know how much loans we're going to get, but we know our tax credits will be used. And then how much will come from balance sheet and how much will you use the FHLB facility?
The split is
Roughly.
going to be 70% the bank, and then 30% from CHFA.
Okay.
And then
That's
in terms of the size, we project it will be right now based on what we're seeing, and the board did approve projects the end of last year at the November meeting, along with a project in January. We think that it's probably going to be between 20-25 million with the bank each year. So depending to the rate environment, because we know that based on the requests that we have been receiving, developers generally have secured construction financing elsewhere, and
Right.
the provider for the construction financing are generally also the equity investor. So what they're looking for is more for a permanent takeout. So that's where we would step in and provide that facility.
Okay. So, I mean, so this basically will replace basically taxable munis with a lower cost and of course save cost of issuance because we do direct with the GSE.
Right, right. And then there's also other opportunities. And again, it all depends to, well, what we're trying to do here is to just having the necessary vehicle and be flexible. So if in an event that we get into a situation where we do have economies of scale, we can always pull these loans and then put it into the bond program and then retire the bank facility.
Okay. I like it. I think it's great.
You show a significant savings, but I'm wondering if it's apples to apples, because this is a 20-year borrowing and your bonds would be much longer, right?
Right. Well, the loan, I should say, the loan is longer,
But the
and
comparable
facility
bond
is
issue
20
that you
years.
might do would be longer,
Right.
right?
Right.
So
So in terms of the calculation, and again, you have a loan that will all amortize over 35 years. We have a bank facility up to 20 years if we go all the way that long. And then we're going to overlay an ITA loan, also coterminous with the 35 years. So if they stay throughout that, our spread will be like around 1 to 2%, depending to where they actually pay us off or refinance.
actually, I think your savings are apples to apples because you're comparing a 20-year taxable borrowing. So,
Right. In the summary, yes. In the summary, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah, as a non-bank member, can CHFA sponsor FHLB affordable housing grants? Because I was wondering if you were going to do this, as a developer and user of that funding source every once in a while, you get extra points if the sponsor is also a lender. Is that, I should know this, but is that something that you could do?
Yeah, we did approach this even in my prior capacity in Illinois. I think that the banks throughout the country in general, they say that when it comes to AHP or any type of sponsoring, you do need to be a bank, just due to how the contribution as banks, you are a shareholder within the district. So we have the special treatment just because we are a state housing finance agency.
Okay.
So that's how we are able to get this non-bank member privileges.
Okay. Yeah, because we're part of this NeighborWorks America network, and they have an affiliate group that does lending, and I think they actually sponsor the HP grants, but I don't know what all the details are. It just feels like if you're going to be lending the money, you might as well, and that would probably increase your business too, because that would attract people that, were looking for those AHP grants. Anyway.
Yeah, we have tried, and of course, and again, is more about just continuing to ask the question, trying to see if we can streamline the process, because definitely having the option as a one-stop shop to have funds flowing directly from the bank would be more advantageous than trying to find a partner financial institution that's willing to provide, and then you have to.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? May I have a motion?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Roll call vote.
Jerry Abraham,
Aye.
Alexander Dom, Bill DeFranco,
Yes.
Tim Hodges,
Aye.
Catherine McKinnon,
Aye.
Commissioner Perez,
Yes.
Franklin Perry, Sarah Sanders,
Aye.
Alexandra, I don't know if you said something earlier, but we couldn't hear you if you did.
Yeah, apologies. I was just going to chime in, Don. Yeah, I
Okay.
missed the mute button. Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. The vote passes unanimously.
Okay, our next item is financial reports. Allison Murphy.
Good morning. Before you are the financial reports for the first month of the year. On the revenue side, mortgage loan and investment interest revenue are coming in slightly above budget for the month and $4 million higher than last year. The year-over-year revenue variances are being driven by the increase in interest rates on the authority's short-term investments. On the expense side, bond interest expense is slightly below budget for the month and 1.7 million higher than last year. Administrative expenses are coming in 639,000 under budget and 168,000 higher than last year. When you exclude salaries and benefits for $2.5 million, the current year expenses are 60,000 lower than last year. Bond issuance costs are 554,000 below budget. Our first bond sale of the year is scheduled to close next month, and we expect to recognize the majority of the issuance costs associated with that bond sale at that time. Lastly, the change in net position is above target by $1.7 million. Are there any questions?
With no questions, we'll move to delinquency reports. John Chilson.
Good morning. For the month of January, the authority purchased 254 loans totaling $56.5 million. 230 of those $1 million loans totaling $50.3 million were securitized, or 91% of the loans originated. The remaining 24 loans totaling $6.2 million were the whole loans. The average loan size was $222,000. The January month-end mortgage-backed security balance was $2.2 billion at the end of January, which was an increase of a little over $35 million from the prior month. The whole loan portfolio through December, declined by 27 loans, but less than $17,000 in principal balance net, with a total ending with a total balance of $1.1 billion. The overall single-family delinquency rate declined by 4 basis points, 2.27%, and the carrying balance for loans in foreclosure decreased by $8.4 million to $20.8 million, with a number of loans in foreclosure year-over-year declined by 55. The month of January, the authority also funded 235 down payment assistance loans totaling $3.4 million, with an average loan size of $14,500. 92.5% of the January borrowers took advantage of the down payment assistance program. The authority also funded 197 time-to-own forgivable loans totaling $6 million, with an average loan size of $30,000. On the multifamily portfolio, there were 2 new loan closings, but the overall portfolio declined by 3 loans, ending with 561 loans with a portfolio balance end of January of $1.3 billion. Delinquencies in multifamily portfolio were unchanged, with 6 permanent loan delinquencies and 1 construction loan delinquency. The overall delinquency rate for the multifamily portfolio was 1.2%. Any questions?
Hi, it's Bill DeFranco. I have a question. So when you said 197 of the loans were forgivable loans were the time to own, and time to own piggybacks on the 200, so piggyback on a CHFA first. So the total loans that we did in that month were 254, and 197 of the 254 were loans that were piggybacked with a time to own.
Correct. Although it's the time to own funding is a little different. It has some of the lenders requested that they be refunded on the TTO loans the day after they close.
Yeah.
Where the permanent loan delinquencies sometimes can take several weeks before we actually purchase the loan.
Got
So
it.
it's not quite 1-for-1, but relationship wise is pretty close. We had 197 TTO fundings coincidentally in December as well. So that seems a fairly consistent
Yeah.
production level.
Well, no, I just say it just speaks to the success of the program, and that, you know, so much of a large percentage of the loans that you funded in the month were time to own. That's incredible. That's great.
Then
Yeah,
combine
I
that
think,
with
Commissioner Perez, you have your hands up.
Yeah, but I don't think that whoever was speaking was finished. You
Oh,
done?
Oh, yeah, I'm done. Yep.
I get some information from the FDIC that they don't share with the public. And I also read an article yesterday, and I was trying to find it as you spoke, but I can't put my hands on it. But when I find it, I can send it to you. That is predicting that delinquencies may double by this time next year. And I saw that in your report, you say that delinquencies for CHFA was 4 basis points below, which is great. And I'm not seeing any big delinquencies yet in any of my banks or credit unions. But the FDIC and NCUA, which NCUA is the version of FDIC for credit unions, and then this report came out yesterday, is predicting, and they're seeing trends because of inflation and the rates going up, and also because a lot of the loans that were made in the last year or so may be underwater pretty soon as the market adjusts. So I'm only saying all this long-winded thing to say, look, the numbers you give us are great, but we may want to start looking to see if we have a lot of almost 100% loans because the market is adjusting. And even though Darien is still, real estate is appreciating, but cities like New Haven already, and at least parts of the city and parts of the Hartford, even though Hartford is one of the hardest market that there is. But I could tell you the North End is not one of the hardest market there is, right? Based on the numbers I'm seeing. So this is a long-winded way to say, look, I hope that the prediction is wrong. And I'm not making the prediction. I'm only reading it. And I'm going to be doing my job or adding value to this group if I don't bring up that stuff. And the FDIC does it really in depth, right? But they don't share it with the general public, unfortunately. They don't even share it with the banks. They only share it with the regulators. So I don't want to, I mean, the numbers you gave us was great. But all that I'm reading indicates that in 9 months to a year, we're going to start seeing different numbers.
no, thank you, Commissioner. I think that, just based on how we evaluate risk, if in an event that we see delinquency is generally within the first 2 years of closing, because that's when you would see whether or not the people that bought the house will be able to afford the house that they purchased. At the same time, that same borrowers that we've been assisting, we have supplemented their borrowing using time to own. So in a way, time to own would help manage that because they are able to get a 0% forgivable loan.
I was not talking
Well,
so much
maybe-
about the time to own as much as the regular mortgages that we back up, right? That we own. And,
Oh,
and what the numbers
absolutely.
are indicating, and what the numbers are indicating is the particular industry they're starting to see distress, right? If you're
Right.
if you're in the IT industry, meaning the Googles of the world, the Metas of the world, even Amazon, who's doing layoffs. So if you're part of the industry that's doing those 10, 20,000 layoffs, if you're an hotel, restaurant industry, believe it or not, as much as the restaurants are saying that it's hard to find employees, people who have that as a profession are starting to show some distress because a lot of restaurants are still closing. So again, I'm only giving information, not to prolong the meeting or anything like that. And I'm not saying that we're not doing a great job, right? And I'm not saying we don't have it under control. Like I stated, the numbers that I heard stated were great numbers, and our delinquency is 4 basis points below. Actually, that is very much in line with what we're seeing in the industry today. So that's why we find it, people that don't do this, who are not economists, that don't do this for a living, are saying, what are you talking about, right? And then when you look at the data and you look at the there's some common things, right? If you used to work in Google or Meta or any of those big IT companies, there's some distress there. You know, and some of those big companies that do logistics, like Amazon, that are doing the COVID stuffed up, and now down, you know, it's stuffing down because things are going back to normal. And what I'm saying is maybe we may want to start looking at that. It has to be proactive if you think it's applicable, you know. I always wonder why the Banking Commission was made part of this board, you know, as ex officio. And now I'm starting to realize why, right? Not because of me. It's because the work we do, it brings something to the table, like the Treasurer's Office, right? Because we do a lot of bonding, it makes sense, you know? Anyway, that's my 2 cents for today.
I wonder how much of that delinquency is related to adjustable rate mortgages. I don't know how many, you know, if people actually got those when the rates are so low, they could be in a lot of trouble now.
Good point. We don't offer
I
that.
did not see anything that indicates that yet. That will probably be more than ones that have been done the last 6 months, because the rates were so low that people really didn't want to do adjustable, because why would you do adjustable if you could get a rate for 2 3/4?
Yeah.
Because most people didn't think it would go below that, right?
Yeah.
Like when it was 3.5, most people didn't think it could go below 3.5, right? And then it hit 3, and then it hit 3, 2 3/4, and then it started going up. In fact, even FHA yesterday announced that they're reducing the mortgage insurance that they charge because they're starting to see some distress, and they're trying to make sure that their people don't go into default. And that will save something like, you know, $800, you know, for an average person who has an FHA, you know, mortgage.
I just
So
want
to answer your question,
yeah,
I think it's too early for the adjustables to play a significant role. Yeah.
I just want to say just one thing. You know, we service a lot of FHA loans ourselves as an independent mortgage company, and we sell directly to Ginny. And one of the common denominators you see in delinquencies, so not to disagree with George, but I would say that one of the great underwriting tool things, overlays that CHFA has built in, is the delinquencies you see in bands of credit scores are not just one piece of it. It's like multiple pieces. You have a 640 credit score plus a high loan to value ratio, and coupling that with a high back ratio. One of the things that the great single family underwriting staff has done, which I think it shows in the delinquencies being lower than national averages, they put in provisions that you can't go over a certain percentage of a back ratio for qualifying. So I agree with George in the sense, like, I think we're going to see double delinquencies, but I would say that the forward thinking of the staff is going to minimize some of that. So I just wanted to put my 2 cents in on that one.
No, and I want to make it clear. I'm not saying that CHFA is going to be impacted the same way that
No,
FHA
right.
may be impacted or the banks may be impacted, right? For many reasons, right?
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that those were great numbers that we were given, right? And let's be honest, a lot of our people are 100% financing, right? A lot of people we finance because we help them with down payment, we help them with the closing costs, and if they're in one of those industries that is having issues today, right? And they're living, you know, paycheck to paycheck, they don't have that 6 months cushion. And again, I'm not saying that anything's going to happen with the CHFA portfolio, right? Well, I'm saying that the numbers I'm seeing and what the main regulator, the one that spends hundreds of millions of dollars analyzing this stuff, which is the FDIC and the NCUA, are giving us alerts that when we do examinations, that there's extra work that they want us to do because they're concerned, right? They're not panicking yet. They're not saying, you know, you're not reading it in the Wall Street Journal yet, right? And I'll find that publication that came out yesterday because I know I didn't delete it. But I wanted to save it. It's so good that I forgot where I saved it. And I'll share it with staff, and staff can send it over to everybody else, you know, because I don't have everybody's email, even though I guess I could look at the distribution list. But anyway, I don't want to tie up the meeting anymore.
Any other comments? Before we go to the minutes, just if anybody has suggestions on topics you want to have covered at future meetings. I was wondering, Hasim, how come we don't have a swap and investment report? Is that not done every meeting? That's fine if not.
Every quarter, because
Quarter, okay.
we don't, it doesn't really move that much. So
Yeah.
that's,
I will say our short-term investment rate for the treasurer's office is way up, like 4.6 or something, thank goodness.
yeah,
So,
and then by next month, it's going to go out even more.
yep. Okay, if there's no other discussion, we'll move on to the minutes for the finance and audit meeting of January 26th. Can I have a motion?
Moved, and I do have one correction, I think.
Oh. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I as I recall, and I don't have it up, but I feel like Alexandra was listed there as a designee for the last minute. I think that's incorrect, and I didn't check the previous minutes, but that might be incorrect as well. I don't know.
How does that work? Does the confirmation have to have happened by January 26th or something?
Yeah, the technical would be when the hearing. So Terry.
Yes, that was right on the website. That was taken right off the website. But if Alexandra wants to weigh in on it.
Yeah. So the question is when my new position is final? Is that the question?
Yes.
When you officially became commissioner.
Well, you're correct that the 26th was the hearing. I think that's what someone just said. So
Well,
that
the 26th was the meeting, wasn't it? Our CHFA Finance Committee meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry. Coincidentally, the reason I was not at that hearing is because the reason I was not at that meeting was because that was the date of my confirmation hearing.
Oh, okay.
So that's when you said 26, that's that date will forever be stuck in my head. So so technically it would have been as of the vote date, which would have been after the I was not confirmed until after the 26th, as the 26th was just a hearing. So if that matters, then yes, Commissioner Designate was still the correct title as of the 26th.
Thank you.
Okay, great. We did take great care in checking that out because we wanted to make sure it was accurate.
Attention to detail.
Thank you for confirming.
Good attention to detail.
Well, he's reading the minutes. That's good.
It does matter. We wanted to accurately reflect it.
Given the comments, appreciate the follow-up. I'll move. It's Tim.
Okay, second. Roll call vote.
Jerry Abrahams,
Aye.
Commissioner Dawn.
Aye.
Phil DeFronti,
Aye.
Tim Hodges,
Aye.
Kathy McKinnon,
Aye.
Commissioner Perez,
Yes.
Franklin Perry, Sarah Sanders.
Aye. Okay. There being no further business, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Sarah, can I ask you a question before you leave? Nothing to do with
Yes.
CHFA. I have a request from a couple of my, this happens to be credit unions.